Hi, welcome back to my channel. So I'm back with another family meals of the week. This week I don't finish the week with a takeaway, and only because we're having a barbecue instead. So if you're looking for maybe something that's a little bit different for your barbecue, hopefully you enjoy the video. But let's get cracking and see what we had this week. So for our first meal, we're having some slow cooked whiskey barbecue ribs, and I've just coated these in the marinade and slow cooked them for hours upon hours, and as you can see it just falls off the bone. These are delicious. As a side, I'm doing a shortcut. I've got some crunchy coleslaw mix already sliced. It does come with a mayo pouch, but I'm going to pimp that up a little bit, adding a little more mayo. I've got some hot sauce, English mustard, and seasoning with salt and pepper. And it's a great way if you just want a bit more of flavour in your dish. So I've made enough here. Any leftovers will last for 3 to 4 days in the fridge. I've just popped on some oven chips. So all in all, it was in the oven. It wasn't too much hassle, and it's really delicious. Definitely a big portion. We must have been hungry that evening, but it went down a treat. The next evening I've put half a lemon in a chicken, and then I'm making the dressing. So in this I have got some olive oil, whole grain mustard, and chopped up rosemary. The vinegar in the mustard sometimes separates from the oil, so make sure to give it a really good whisk or mix. And then I'm just going to coat it onto the chicken. I always have helpers with messy little jobs like this, so as you can see we're making sure we get it all over. With the roast chicken I do it breast side down on a high temp for 30 minutes, and then I pop it onto the other side and finish it off. This will give the most beautiful lemon rosemary gravy. It's quite plain. We are just having it with mini roast potatoes tonight. I've chopped up some carrots, and then as a vegetable side I've done some sautéed leeks, which are done in butter, seasoned, and also a little bit of cream. And we haven't went for any Yorkshires. It's midweek, and this is just a nice spring roast chicken dinner. Next evening I've got 750 grams of lean mince, an egg, tomato puree, raisins, white onion, and I'm going to opt for some korma curry powder, a little bit of garlic, salt and pepper again, and I'm going to make my Moroccan meatballs. You've probably seen me make these in previous videos, so I will link those down below in more detail. But basically I've sauteed down my onions and I'm mixing through any of my seasonings there. So I've got my curry powder, tomato puree and raisins with the egg to bind it all together, and then making them into the little meatballs. Generally I get about 24 or 25 meatballs out of this portion, and that is just enough to put in the bottom of my pan without overcrowding. Make sure that you don't overcrowd, because then you will actually sweat your meatballs opposed to just giving them a nice browning on every single side. So a few minutes doing that, and then I'm going to crack on with the actual sauce. So again I've got 1 white onion, tomato puree, I will use half of a lemon, 2 tins of chopped tomatoes, and then the cumin, and the cumin's going to give you that smoky Moroccan flavour in the sauce. So I've sauteed down the onions, added in my chopped tomatoes and lemon juice, and adding in that cumin as well. This is the best type of dish to just taste as you go along and add the flavours. If you want a little bit more lemon or a little bit more curry, you can do. And again, it's a really good one if you're a working parent and you want to do things in batches, and then you can just put them on the hob when you come home. So I've added a few frozen peas in there. Equally, this is lovely with courgettes as well. And it's just midweek for us. If I wanted, I would do it with a nice sweet couscous, but it's a pretty busy night, so the kids are having it before clubs with some penne pasta, and there's a little bit more on the hob for them with the meatballs. And yeah, it's just a favourite in our house. Like I say, they always want meatballs, so it's a nice variation on it and takes it from the Italian to that more Moroccan flavours. And then Alistair and I just had it simply with some spaghetti. Then at the weekend I am going to roast a butternut squash. So I've got a throwaway foil tray because we're having a barbecue, and I like that. Less dishes, we can just get on with what we want to do. So I'm using half of the actual butternut squash and then de-seeding it, and then I'm going to chop it up into similar sized portions. I always find it's a bit of a faff with the butternut squash, but it never disappoints once you do it. So I've drizzled it in some olive oil, I've put some thyme and rosemary through it, and a little bit of seasoning. And for 40 minutes in the oven, So for the basis of my salad, I've got some salty rocket alongside chopped up beetroot, and then I'm just going to put the rest of my butternut squash on the top of the salad. I find I like mine really nice and hot, but if you want, you could let yours cool. And within the rocket, I've got some honey and mustard as well for a little bit of flavouring and taste. And then I just toss it all around, give it a little bit of a mix. You've got lovely flavours there already, but the saltiness of this crumbled feta cheese will just balance it out. And then I always like to add a little bit of a topping, so either pine nuts, or in this instance I've just added a few flaked almonds because that is what I had, and give it a little bit of a mix. This is best done just before you're going to serve. And yeah, we're just going to have it simply with our burger, but I'm also making teriyaki sauce here. So I've got all of my ingredients. It does look like loads, I will link it down below, but ginger, all of the vinegar, soy sauce, honey, brown sugar and corn flour, and a little bit of sesame seeds too. So you're going to find that with this particular teriyaki sauce, you don't have to do it on the hob. It will actually be a marinade for the barbecue. So the corn flour gives it a good thickness, so that gloopy kind of sauce, but we've also got the soy sauce there for the deep colour. I tend to make mine probably a little bit sweeter. That is why the kids really enjoy it for me. And then just giving it a good mix through. If you're making this in advance, I would add the sesame seeds in just before you're ready to pop the marinade on. And then we've got the barbecue sparked up. I've just layered it onto the actual steaks, and then as I turn them, I like to coat them with a little bit more of the teriyaki sauce as well. I'm letting it rest to cook on through there. I've sliced it up. I also love the teriyaki steaks if you put them into lettuce cups, but tonight for the barbecue, we're just having it with that lovely butternut squash salad. And the best thing about this is any leftovers can be for lunch the next day too. And then we've got our teriyaki steak, and then just a plain burger. The kids had hot dogs and burgers, that's what they wanted and they enjoyed, but we equally loved ours too. And then for a little bit of a pudding, I spied these Churros Spanish donuts. We absolutely love these, and they are quite tricky to make from scratch because I've tried before. So these are from Lidl's, and then I've got my little paper cones ready. This is the way you get them in the markets if you've seen them before. And then you've got all types of toppings that you can choose. I'm going for Nutella and a little sprinkling of icing sugar. So once they've been deep fried, you do have to do them in oil. That is the finish that you'll get. I've patted them down with some kitchen towel, and I'm dusting them with the icing sugar and then popping them into the little cones. These are to die for, but they are very sickly, so probably really 1 or 2 per person. I've added in the Nutella, and then you get a good few into the cone. These are a really good value at £1.19 for the full frozen bag, and you get about 20 Churros donuts in that. Usually a cone is about £4 in the markets. My kids absolutely love them. There's no doubt about it, making them fresh is probably better and a really better finish, but for this shortcut, I love them. I would eat them again, and there was no complaints here. So hopefully you enjoyed the meals of the week this week. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new around here, make sure to hit subscribe.